Hello and welcome to the 24th, yes, 24, the 24th episode of Williams Whiteboard. As I always do, I'd like to just take a quick moment just to say thank you to all of you that have come by, watched the videos, gave me some comments, liked when appropriate, and gave me the share. So I really appreciate you sharing the content. It means a lot. So on this 24th episode, I want to talk about the concept of making the advice count. Yes, we're going to nerd out a little bit again on government contracting and talk about advisory downselects and making sure to make the advice count. So last week, I was invited to be a part of a team that's going to be proposing on some work at a government agency. They're going to be doing an orals presentation first, followed by an advisory downselect and then a written proposal. So in the advisory downselect, which are being used a lot these days, they're going to give us an assessment of our competitiveness of our solution based on our orals proposal, on our orals presentation. So let's talk about that a little bit. Advisory downselects are being used quite a bit in government procurement. I think they're an amazing strategy, amazing tool for the source selection process. As I mentioned, on the timeline of the procurement, first there are going to be orals, okay? Then there's going to be a down select, and then there will be a written proposal due. At this point. Now, here is the challenge with this. The time frame between the orals and the down select and the written proposal is roughly about 40 days. 40 days. Okay. Now, here is the real challenge. The down select, the number of days after orals and to the down select will likely be about 2 to 3 weeks. So let's call that 15 days. It'll take 15 days after the orals are completed for all participants to then get a response back. Okay? What's left is now 25 days to write a proposal. Okay. Here's the challenge with that. Most industry participants that are in companies that are engaged in activity take well more than 25 days to lean into the writing of the proposal. Okay. So to then have a data point, a decision point at day 15, from day 0 to day 15, doesn't give the participants enough time to do part 2. Okay, so here's part 1 and here's part 2. Here is the challenge. Part 1 is the advisory downselect, which should be giving our industry participants information for the go, no-go. That's the value. This is what you're unlocking when you do an advisory downselect, is the ability to get information to the industry participants so that they don't invest time and money in phase 2. But if they have to lean into phase 2 before they get the information from phase 1, then the value of the down select has been extremely diminished. Because it almost doesn't matter what the down select says or offers to the industry participants, because they're going to have to lean into writing the proposal because it's due in roughly 25 days from the time you're going to get your advisory down select information. This is a concept that deviates from the thinking that time savings as well as administrative savings are the true value of the down select. I would offer to you that those are valuable, but they are secondary, maybe even tertiary, to the primary value of sharing information with your industry partners that allows them to self-select themselves out of the process before they make investments in time, money, energy, blood, sweat, and tears. That is the value, because after they've invested, which oftentimes is 10, 15, 20, 30 thousands of dollars to respond to a proposal, okay, in this day and age, and with the time and energy and the people associated for that, it's easily $10, $20, $30,000. Once they've invested that money, they're going to see that thing all the way to the end, whether they win or lose. And specifically, if they aren't competitive and they lose, they now have to make an argument for the investment, the ROI. Okay, so they're going to fight tooth and nail to attempt to depend on and think about how and defend the dollars that were provided in response to the proposal, to write the proposal. So, to make the time and the advice count, make sure there is plenty of time after the advice is given to ensure that your industry participants have enough time to deliver an effective proposal. If they don't, they will lean into it well before the advice comes back. And in my opinion, you have diminished the value of the advice. It's just like going to the doctor and getting a series of blood work and blood tests done, and then we start diagnosing and treating the symptoms before we even get the information back from the blood test. You have diminished the value of the blood test and the battery of exams and blood tests that have happened because you've leaned into solving the problem before you've received any data. This is Williams Whiteboard, and this is the concept of making the advice in an advisory down select count. Give plenty of time so that the advice can actually be used and leveraged to make decisions downstream. Thank you so very much for your time, and give me some thoughts and comments on the concept of making the advice count in an advisory down select. Thank you again for the time, and as I always say, when you have something to chew on and you don't know what quite to do, grab a whiteboard and a set of markers and get after it. Thanks so much for your time, and have an amazing day. Bye.